Now that you sat down, you can stand up again in a minute.
Okay.
Meeting is called to order. Let's stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome, and we'll get right started.
Thank you.
I have the first question. What qualities, skills, and experiences would you bring that would be a contribution to the district? And are you willing to pursue additional skills through local and state training opportunities?
Thank you for the question. So yes, I would definitely be willing to pursue any skills training that's necessary to fulfill this position. I do believe education is a lifelong process. Now, my background is actually in education. I started out with a higher diploma in education from the University of the Witwatersrand in Johannesburg in South Africa. That's where I'm from originally. Can you all hear me well? Just checking. Okay. It's hard to tell with the mask on.
It's just different.
Yeah. And then once I got my higher diploma of education, I did teach for a couple of years in South Africa before I moved out of the country. I then changed direction into healthcare administration. I've been in healthcare administration for the last 16 years. I'm a business manager at Pokagon Health Services. So what I hope to offer this board and this school district is my knowledge of business operations, financials, grants. I've worked with all those, especially in the last 6 years as my role as a business manager at Pokagon Health Services. I have a background in community health. Obviously, we're facing a pandemic right now, so we've been in the thick of things over at Health Services. And I understand the difficulties of navigating that situation in our current times. We've had to do it over there, and I'd hope to bring some of the knowledge that we have learned in that health situation to the school districts as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I have the second question. In your vision for education in this community, what are the most important skills students need when they graduate, and what are the top 3 things you believe Dowagiac Union Schools needs to work on?
I think the most important skills, as a parent of a child who's entering into middle school, and I have a grandchild who's starting out at elementary school this year, I would hope that they could have a lifelong desire to continue to learn and have those foundations that will allow them to do so. So that's one thing. I want our children to be able to enjoy learning and not see it as an ends to a means.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the other skills, obviously, we need to get our children ready to enter college. Obviously that is a goal for most families, is they want to see their children graduate, enter college, get that education, get a job, so that they can support themselves. What was the other part of the question?
The other part of that was, what are the top 3 things you believe Dowagiac Union Schools needs to work on?
So I think for myself, just having been involved as a parent in the school district, I would definitely hope that Dowagiac Union Schools could work on communication with parents and families. I do hope to see better communication of our goals, our visions, and our plans. As we navigate through new circumstances and have to put in new policies into place, we need to have the community and the parents and the teachers and the children's buy into those policies. So I definitely hope to create a better sense of awareness of what the schools are doing, how they are managing to go through these unique situations and still providing the best for each of our students.
Thank you.
I've got the third question, Priscilla, but I'm going to uncover for when I ask it. What do you see as the role and responsibilities of a school board member?
Okay. So I think the school board members have very particular or specific responsibilities. I know that boards are there to create policy. I know that boards are there to approve budgets. And I know that boards are there to set the mission or the vision for the school district. So as a board member, I would be participating in those functions as a whole, as part of the board. And as an individual, I don't operate by myself. You have to operate as a team, you have to operate as a board and make those decisions as a group.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, that's me. Sorry. I'm paying attention. After review and discussion on significant issues, the board operates by a majority vote. When the majority vote is different from your position, how would you handle this situation?
I think it's okay to have differences, but in the end, you have to come together and support the majority decision. Because as I said previously, as an individual member, I cannot act. It's not my role or responsibility to make those determinations. It's the board as a whole. So even if I would differ with what the board decided as a whole, I would still need to uphold those decisions as a board member.
Thanks.
I have the next question. What is your understanding of a board member's role regarding the superintendent's responsibilities?
So obviously the superintendent and the board need to work together. They have different functions in a school district setting. The superintendent is there to manage the staff and to present the budget, to also bring up new policies that may need to be approved. But essentially, the board may set the policies and the vision, and the superintendent is there to carry those policies and that vision out. So working together cohesively as a team, we can achieve those goals.
Thank you.
All right, I have the next question. Like many other organizations, our district runs on a chain of command where the board president speaks for the board when necessary. Would you, as a board member, feel comfortable in this situation?
So if I was elected as the voice of the board, then I would be prepared to speak on behalf of the board. However, as I said again, I would not be prepared as an individual to speak on behalf of the board. I'd have to be given that or appointed to that duty by the board.
You're back to me.
Okay.
As a board member, you'll be asked to make decisions where you must put aside what's best for you, your family, and your friends to do what's best for the students in the district. What does this mean to you?
So I realize that Dowagiac is a diverse district, and we have many students in our district with many different needs and many different challenges. But what that means to me is we need to give our students equal opportunity to address what they need and to have those educational opportunities. So what may be good for my family members or my daughter or my grandchildren is not necessarily going to help somebody else's child or daughter or son or grandchildren out. But as a board member, as you said, we need to look out for everybody in the community, our entire school district, and we need to understand what those needs are and to address them where they're at.
Thank you.
Okay, describe your response if a parent or concerned citizen cornered you in the grocery store and asked for your support on a particularly hot issue.
So obviously, I want to hear them out. I'm not going to come out and say, yes, I support you, and yes, we will have to do this. That's not my role as a board member. Again, as a board, we make decisions together. It's not an individual choice. But I am also there to be a public servant. And so, at least giving them the chance to voice their opinion and hear what they have to say and let them speak about, what concerns they have. If I need to bring that back to the board and say, hey, I met Mrs. So-and-so in the grocery store and she had these concerns, then I'll do that.
Good, thank you.
Okay, wrapping up. This concludes my hearing aid. This concludes the interview. What else would you like us to know about your board candidacy, or do you have any further questions?
I think the process was made very clear to me with the information that was sent out, so I don't have any further questions at this time. Obviously, I would be very honored to serve, and I think that's the one thing that I want to share is that my understanding of being a public servant is that we are here to serve. It's not a job to make yourself look good. It's not a role to obviously earn lots of money. That's not the point. The point is that our community needs service now more than ever. And that was one of the main reasons why I decided to put in my letter of interest for this position. Do you have any further questions for me?
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
It was nice to meet all of you.
Do I start with question 1 now?
Yes.
Since Ron ended?
Mhm.
Okay.
What was the question?
She want to know if she started.
Does she
with the
start?
next page.
Or if it went back to Larry?
Well, I think we keep going around,
Okay,
don't we?
that's,
I thought we kept going.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So that means I'm questioning.
yeah, pay attention.
Hmm?
Unlike me.
Not right now, I don't. Thank you, though.
I'm good, thank you. Appreciate it. Are you keeping track of the time? Of the,
Ladies and gentlemen of the board, I'd like to introduce you to Samuel Morsaw.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Okay. I'm going to start. Welcome. What qualities, skills, and experiences would you bring that would be a contribution to the district? And are you willing to pursue additional skills through local and state training opportunities?
Thank you for the question. Good evening, everyone. My name is Sam Morsaw. Over the last 25 years, I've worked in education, last 5 as the Director of Education for the Pokagon Band of Potawatomi Indians. I am a firm believer in collaboration. In my experience with the public school setting, I've worked everywhere from being a library to being in the classroom to serving as an administrator. But one of the things that I love most is the collaboration between different agencies and different entities. One of my jobs as director of the Pokagon Band, Director of Education, was working with other tribal governments, and in addition, working with the state government, local ISDs, the ESDs, in terms of advocating for students and policy changes. Many of you are aware of the new social studies standards. I was part of the group that worked with Michigan Tribal Education Directors to get some of the Anishinaabe language in there. I work exclusively with the KRESA, Kalamazoo, for Carlos Perkins Career and Technical Education. And then working in the government relationships between the Pokagon Band and Dowagiac in terms of graduation feathers or bringing students out to the tribal land to learn about tribal sovereignty. So I think it's really important that communities work together and use their local resources to provide the best possible education for their citizen students and their community.
Okay, thanks.
I have a second question. In your vision for education in this community, what are the most important skills students need when they graduate, and what are the top 3 things you believe DUS needs to work on?
That's a very great question. The things about that schools are they're really the keystone of the community. When you talk about long-term sustainability, when you talk about fulfilling that community vision that previous generations have set up, and then to carry that move it forward, it's really important that we have a strong foundation. And I really believe that utilizing those resources to help our citizens succeed is going to be to the best benefit. My personal vision, I believe that when I say Indigenous education, it's really about looking at the community and seeing how we can use our subject matter experts in our community to best serve the nation or the community. So when you think about all of the different disparities within the community, how do we come together and approach those, whether it be curriculum, whether it be policies, whether it be, all the systematic things that happen in the public school setting, how do we address those in the most positive community members? I'll give you a perfect example with Paw Paw Schools. There has been the issue of mascots, and it's really how do you approach that educational standpoint from it. It's not enough just to take a stand on one thing, but what are your feelings behind that, and what are the reasons behind that? I think is really important. When it comes to education, it's about students identifying what they're strongest in and their gifts and talents. So the ability to have and cultivate those gifts and push them forward towards their passions, that's how we're going to find things that they're going to be passionate about and really hoping to move forward in. And so the real key thing is, how do we match these pathways with these individual students, knowing that we have standards and curriculum and assessments, but really caring about the individual student, from the classroom to the extracurriculars, to really finding that next generation career path, whether it is college, whether it is trade school, whether it is apprenticeships. I think it's our responsibility as a community members to look at each student and see how we can best provide an avenue for them to find success in whatever journey that they take.
Thank you.
The next question. What do you see as the role and responsibilities of a school board member?
Board members often have the most difficult decisions because they are faced with community advocacy, community concerns, but they have to also take in consideration the real life issues of budgets in terms of curriculum development, in terms of policies and procedures. And those things are integral because they don't always align with the community. So it's really be able to listen and to make those strategic connections to, offer reasonable solutions. As a director, I sat in a spot where I had a $7.1 million budget, and then how do we best supply those services? A lot of times, especially in pandemics or situations like that, you're strapped, so you're trying to figure out how best can we best serve the citizens and the student and the school while maintaining the excellence that we have started, or that foundation. So in my mind, it's really important for us to really take a hard look at our resources and look at our stakeholders within the community to see what kind of other educational opportunities that we could provide in addition to supplementing those things. We know that schools and extracurriculars are definitely affected. We know that there's a lot of families who might not have the technology support. So how do we best help that educational experience in the home as well as in the classroom?
Next, after review and discussion on significant issues, the board operates by a majority vote. When the majority vote is different from your position, how would you handle the situation?
I think that using the Robert's Rules of Order, or the Western process, has been very beneficial for coming to decisions. As long as people are heard and are able to voice those opinions, I think that you have to listen to all of the different opinions and facts that are presented to you and make the wisest decision based on the community as a whole. And oftentimes your personal decision may not be in alignment with the decision made by the group, but nonetheless you have to support that, because you can't just depend on one board member or one I was going to say council member, one board member making the decisions or trying to use influence to get the job done, because each one of us that represents the community has heard hundreds or of comments. So it's up to each individual to listen to the constituency, make the best decision, and then ultimately it will come down to the board vote, and you have to support that.
Thank you.
Okay. What is your understanding of a board member's role regarding the superintendent's responsibilities?
Well, the superintendent really guides the direction of the day-to-day operations and making sure the assessments are pieces, but ultimately he has to report to somebody and give updates. So I believe that the trustee's responsibility is to look at that information, be able to make sound business decisions or choice decisions based on the educational needs of the community, but also the current budgetary fiscal responsibilities that we have as a community as well. Oftentimes education is underfunded, so it's being able to look at the assessments, being able to look at the data that is provided in front of you, not only from the superintendent, but also being that listening ear to the communities. So it's those types of things that need to be addressed, because as a trustee, you're a spokesman for the people and the stakeholders. So it's very important that you hold the community members' voice and ensure that the superintendent is listening and following the will of the people.
Thank you.
Sam, like many other organizations, our district runs on a chain of command, where the board president speaks for the board whenever necessary. Would you, as a board member, if you're not the board president, how would you feel comfortable in this situation? How would you be?
I would be totally okay with it. I mean, I think that we look to the chairman for leadership and support. again, you may have a personal difference of opinion with the chairman or the president, and it's important that you carry on that message, because ultimately it is for the best of the community. And until you have that seat and that support, then you need to be able to be respectful, but also have that connection and that communication to talk about the difficult issues. So it can't just be, this is what the president said. It has to be, let's work together, and yes, if you still agree with that, then I will support that. And I think that that's a really important in terms of chain of command, to have that continuance and have that message. Oftentimes, the best intentions get misappropriated because there's too many voices talking at the head of the table. So I'm a full supporter of collaboration and working together to meet those needs.
Thank you.
Okay. As a board member, you'll be asked to make decisions where you must put aside what's best for you, your family, and your friends to do what's best for the students in the district. What does this mean to you?
It's a very raw question. I recently resigned as a director for specifically this reason. So when you have a government that is in hard times and looking for things, you're looking for the best practices, and you see things that are affecting you personally. You see community members being furloughed, not being able to make rent. Those are types of decisions that, when you think about tribal economies, are super important. We don't have the tax base, so a lot of our revenue comes from government. And I'm a firm believer that we should be providing opportunities to our citizen spouses and custodial parents. And through the actions of the government, a lot of that was affected in the education department within the Pokagon Band. We went from 23 employees to 2, but we're still supposed to serve over 5,000 citizens. So as a director, I made considerably a lot more. And I said, furlough me, you could bring back a couple of Department of Education employees to make sure that we get the job done, that we can provide that service. Ultimately, the Pokagon Band didn't want to go down that road, and I felt that I had to resign for that, because my mission has always been about serving the people and providing the best opportunities. And that act of selflessness on my end, I don't want to be credited for it, because I knew in my heart it was for the best. I always said that being the director of education was a dream job. It allowed me to come back and serve my community. It allowed me to see the happiness and see how those students grow each and every year. But the differences and the sacrifice, I think that, yeah, it's about public service. I mean, you have to be a public servant, and sometimes it goes against personal gains. But you have to have faith in the community and the people to be successful. At least that's my personal vision.
All right, thanks.
Describe your response if a parent or concerned citizen cornered you in the grocery store and asked you for your support on a particular hot issue.
Very rarely do I say I support without listening to the issues. I mean, it's very easy to say, yep, I agree with you, but in the end that comes back to bite you, because when you do have to make that decision, then you don't gain support by saying I support you in the grocery store and not saying I support you up here. So I've been true to my word in terms of listening. I will always listen. Yes, we may have differences of opinion, but I will always respect you and your decision. I mean, I would not side with you on that particular issue, but there are several different issues that we can come together on. So oftentimes when you think there's, in this society, there's a division or a difference of opinion, it's always, okay, now it's against them, or it's me, then it's you. But people are dynamic people, and just because you may not agree on a particular subject doesn't mean that you're not going to agree on other subjects. So it's important to have that dialogue, to continue to communicate, to collaborate, and to coordinate to best serve the will of the people and to best serve the board.
Thank you.
The final question. This concludes the interview. What else would you like us to know about your board candidacy?
I would just like to state that even though I have been in education for 25 years, I've served on a lot of different capacities in terms of boards, both through the local, state, and national organizations. And I look to continue that tradition of excellence by bringing any type of skill or resource that I have for the betterment of Dowagiac. I've served as the president of the Tribal Education Directors National Assembly. I've served as the chairman of the Michigan Tribal Education Directors. I serve on Land Use Board, Pokagon Rights Board, Curriculum Development, Special Education Advisory Committee. There's a lot of different capacities that I think that I can be able to assist in providing some input on those things. I appreciate your time and the consideration, and I look forward to working with you guys in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Fletch.
Okay, there's 15 people watching us on YouTube. Just wanted to check.
How can he tell?
Oh, that's because I just dropped off.
He logged in? He logged in?
Yeah, he would.
Oh.
Yeah.
Good evening.
Thanks for coming. I have the first question.
Yes, sir.
What qualities, skills, and experiences would you bring that would be a contribution to the district? And are you willing to pursue additional skills through local and state training opportunities?
Yes, I'd be willing to, pursue, I feel like, that everybody should be a lifelong learner. Currently, I'm going after my pilot's license, and, just for recreation, but just to learn something. I've been a business owner for 25 years, I think, and that as a small business owner, you learn a lot of different skills. You have to balance budgets, you have to hire, fire, and keep everything running. There's you have to deal with insurance and just a myriad of different things. I've done some traveling. I have served the community as on a local Lions Club for 20-some years, and I have lived in Dowagiac for most of my life. So I feel like I bring some good things to just about anything I put my mind to.
Okay, the next question. In your vision for education in this community, what are the most important skills students need when they graduate, and what are the top 3 things you believe Dowagiac Union Schools needs to work on?
I think graduating people that know how to learn, that can learn new skills as they continue through their life, with the core, of math and science and English reading. You can improve yourself as you go on through life. I don't know if you necessarily have to, train at high school for a lifelong career. I think if you leave high school with knowing how to improve yourself and how to learn, you can go on to do anything in the rest of your life. Because I see people that even graduate college are going to, that the skills they pick up there are going to be dated, eventually, and that they'll have to learn and by knowing how to learn, be lifelong learners and improve themselves.
Thank you.
Hearing aids are bad, except when you want to hear. Bill, what do you see as the role and responsibilities of a school board member?
I am not exactly sure what the entire breadth of what you guys do, but I would guess that you have to, look after the budget, be, fiscally responsible, and, rely upon, your superintendent, assistant, your principals to carry out, the daily activities of learning, and then report back to you so that you can, set up the guidelines to continue a good education for our community.
Thank you.
All right. After review and discussion on significant issues, the board operates by a majority vote. When the majority vote is different from your position, how would you handle the situation?
I would guess I would just move on, move on to the next situation. When you're in the majority, you just, you have to deal with that. So maybe if my opinion doesn't gather a majority vote before the situation, then maybe I didn't express that opinion properly.
Okay.
What is your understanding of a board member's role regarding the superintendent's responsibilities?
I am not that sure about what, I would imagine that the superintendent reports to you and you delegate, you take his information and then you make your decisions. But I also know that you hire and fire the superintendent. And, so you have a supervisory position, but you rely on a superintendent for a lot of things, the daily operation of the whole system.
Thank you.
Like many other organizations, our district runs on a chain of command where the board president speaks for the board when necessary. Would you as a board member feel comfortable in this situation?
Certainly. I mean, and that goes back to the minority-majority vote. When, the decisions that are made in committee, and then when those decisions fall against you or for you, then you just, you live with that.
Thank you. As a board member, you'll be asked to make decisions where you must put aside what's best for you, your family, and your friends to do what's best for the students in the district. What does this mean to you?
I would imagine that would be giving time. That would, any time that you're serving in a community, there's things that that you have to give up for your family and for friends, and time that you're spending that you'd rather be somewhere else or do something else, but you've made commitments and you follow through on those commitments.
Okay, thank you. Describe your response if a parent or a concerned citizen cornered you in the grocery store and asked for your support on a particularly hot issue.
I would do my best to express the fact that I've hurt them, and maybe take that back to the board, to the school board, and discuss it amongst you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Bill, this concludes the interview. What else would you like us to know about your board candidacy?
You all have the letter that I sent in.
Right.
Yes.
As a business person, I feel like, I do have a lot of varied of experience, and that could serve the community well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have daycare at our house, Star Daycare and Estate Daycare.
Ladies and gentlemen, the board, introduce Craig Schmidt.
Good evening.
Hello.
Good evening.
I should leave my mask on?
If you take yours off, I'll take mine off.
Yeah, that's all right with me. My glasses might fog up, and I won't be able to see you.
That's up to him, I guess. I guess that's up, I don't care.
No, really? You want to take it off?
I prefer that, yeah.
Okay, I'll match you.
All right, I'm going to start. Hi, Craig.
Hi.
What qualities, skills, and experiences would you bring that would be a contribution to the district? And are you willing to pursue additional skills through local and state training opportunities?
The answer to your last question is yes, definitely. My experiences, I'm experienced in the school business. I retired from the public school business in 2002, mostly administrative, deputy superintendent, principal, teacher, drove a bus, cleaned the hallways. So my experience is mostly in education. The last 20 years I've been teaching graduate classes through the University of St. Francis in Joliet, Illinois. Through them, not there.
Okay.
Qualities that I would bring, I would say my heart for kids.
Thank you.
I have the next question. In your vision for education in this community, what are the most important skills students need when they graduate, and what are the top 3 things you believe DUS needs to work on?
The U.S.? The top 3 things, the U.S.?
DUS.
DUS.
Dowagiac.
Oh, DUS.
Dowagiac
Okay.
Union School, sorry.
To keep it simple in a 10-minute interview, I would say that the skills children need to leave school, most importantly, would be reading, behaving, and contributing to the community. If you look at any job in the world, to be successful at it, you need to be able to behave, you need to be able to read, and it really helps if you're willing to contribute to the community as a citizen. So in a 10-minute interview, I would list those. Dowagiac Union Schools specifically, I think the focus should be on finding the individual skills in every child, finding what they are, and then cultivating those as they grow, with the idea that they must leave with skills in reading, behaving, and community service. So the word educate comes from a Latin root of educere, which means to bring out. So I think that if we're going to educate children, we need to bring out what's in them in each individual, which is different. So that's what I think should be the focus of DUS.
Thank you.
Craig, I have the next question. What do you see as the role and responsibilities of a school board member?
Set policy for the schools, work as a team to cooperate to do what's best for the community, canvass the community to find out what the community wants for their children, just as you're asking me. You know, I think a board member's responsibility is to get into the community and find out what the people in the community want, not just base my board actions on what I think the community needs or the school needs. So I think that's a big responsibility of the board members, to find out what its constituency would like and then bring that back to the board.
Thank you. After review and discussion on significant issues, the board operates by a majority vote. When the majority vote is different from your position, how would you handle that situation?
Kicking and screaming. No, I would handle it. I've learned that, you say what you have to say, and then if the vote goes a different way, you support that. That's being a good team member. I learned that over the years. So I would say what I think and vote the way I believe, and if it was different, I would support that. Yep.
Thank you.
What is your understanding of a board member's role regarding the superintendent's responsibilities?
A board member's role regarding the superintendent's responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
I think a board member's role is to be aware of the actions and the leadership of the superintendent and make sure that that's in accord with what the board policy says and what the community wants. I think a board member's responsibility is to evaluate the superintendent based on whether his leadership is effective in inspiring employees to do their best work. That comes from a long experience in education, that the board should be making sure that the superintendent leads the district in a way that people are willing to follow inspirationally.
Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Craig, like many other organizations, our district runs on a chain of command, where the board president speaks for the board whenever necessary. Would you, as a board member, and you're not the president of the board at that time, would you as a board member feel comfortable in that situation?
Very comfortable. I think that's how it should be. That you have one spokesperson, and you do your work, and then the president speaks for the board, if that's what you were asking. I believe strongly in that.
Thank you.
I've seen it where board members go out and speak their own voice, in a minority vote, and it's disastrous.
All right, back to me.
Back to you.
Yep. As a board member, you'll be asked to make decisions where you must put aside what's best for you, your family, and your friends to do what's best for the students and the district. What does this mean to you?
Exactly what it says. Exactly what it says. I have no selfish reasons for seeking a position on the board. I don't have children in the school district, and I just would like to be on a board to contribute my experience, and that's it. So I have no, that means exactly what you said, Carrie.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Craig, describe your response if a parent or concerned citizen cornered you in the grocery store and asked you for your support on a particular hot issue.
I would explain kind of like what Ron was asking. It's not my role to grant support for anything publicly. My role is as a board member, so that if they wanted support for something, I would tell them that they'd need to address that to the whole board.
Thank you.
Craig, I have the last question. So this concludes our interview. What else would you like us to know about your board candidacy?
When I told my wife I was thinking about running for the school board, she said, as a matter of fact, I was just thinking you need one more thing to do. And several months ago, I was in front of the Benton Harbor School Board, offering my help to them because they were in disastrous situations with the state of Michigan. So I'm about done working in education, and if I do anything in education, it's going to fulfill my passion to help underprivileged kids or low socioeconomic area kids, just like Benton Harbor. So had Benton Harbor taken my offer to help them, I wouldn't be running for the board. So I want you to know that if I do anything in education, it's going to be to plant some seeds of change that are going to help underprivileged or low socioeconomic area students get the education they deserve. I think, as Thomas Jefferson said, the strength of our democracy depends on the education of the common man, and if we're not doing that. And so I hope to plant some seeds for that to happen right here in Dowagiac. That's what I want you to know.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, make sure you put your mask, there you go.
I'm so glad you made that offer, Larry. Have a good evening.
What? That's up to you.
How are we doing on time?
No, we're doing good, I think.
Sure.
It's like 5.
I can entertain them.
different question.
Ladies and gentlemen of the board, Mr. Nick Vogan.
Good evening.
Hello?
Hello.
Oh my gosh.
Who's up next?
Everybody set?
Yep.
Okay. You ready?
Yeah.
Good. Here's the first question. What qualities, skills, and experiences would you bring that would be a contribution to the district? And are you willing to pursue additional skills through local state training opportunities?
Yeah, so I graduated from Dowagiac Union High School in 2014. After that, I went to Central Michigan University in Mount Pleasant, Michigan. Spent 6 years there, during which I completed my Bachelor's of Science in Meteorology with minors in Mathematics and Geography. And then this past year, I completed my thesis and received my Master's in Geographic Information Systems from Central as well. I think it's a really important experience to leave little old Dowagiac and see what else is out there and compare how other places are doing things and how well was I prepared to go out in the world and pursue my education and career. So through that, I have been a substitute teacher in both the Mount Pleasant School District and the Dowagiac School District. I've served on multiple boards with the Dowagiac Little League, Dowagiac Youth Soccer League, the American Society of Meteorology at Central Michigan. In all those, you meet different people, you see what works, what doesn't, and how we can prepare people for different paths, whether it's going to higher education or going to the workforce. So from those, I want to be able to bring back my experience, although it may be short in some people's eyes for me being so young. I think it's good to know what I did previously get at Dowagiac, and it doesn't change that often, at least within the past 6 years. And I also, being in the classroom in Dowagiac, I understand how things are going and how things could go differently and how we could accomplish those changes if need be, and address issues where they appear. So I have a good background and understanding of what we could put forward, but also I'm always open to looking into different paths, whether that's through other trainings, conferences, etc., just to make me a well-rounded individual and thus being able to serve the board and the district to the best of my ability.
Thank you.
Okay. In your vision for education in this community, what are the most important skills students need when they graduate, and what are the top 3 things you believe Dowagiac Union Schools needs to work on?
That's a big question.
That's a big question.
So I feel that openness is a big one. Being ready to try different things and understanding that things are very different once you leave the area, and no matter what path you take. When I first arrived for college, I was so out of my element, and I would say that being in such a small town, that really set me up for something I wasn't used to. And we need to make sure that students know it's okay to try different things and to be prepared for those, and to ask for help when they need it, and realize the different opportunities they have for them. I feel that sometimes we can be a little too closed off, where there are so many opportunities. Whenever I attend a conference and meet new people and see what jobs there are, it's like, oh, that's something I didn't know existed. And we are kind of closed off to that here. So openness to change and other opportunities that we may not think of is a big one. communication within the district and with our students. We need an open communication between our educators, our board members, and our students. A lot of times it's the parents that are doing what feels best for their students, but the students may know how they learn the best, how they think, how they do, what resources they need. So we need to open a channel for all that communication. The board makes decisions for the students and for the parents and for the staff, but are we really doing it for them, or are we doing what we think is best without having all that information ready for us? So if we open up those channels, especially now where everybody is thrown into something they've never experienced before, we have to do something in the current atmosphere to deal with the needs we have. But we can always revisit these. It's not set in stone. We can get feedback, we can make changes, because nothing's going to be 100%. We don't have all the right answers, and we should be not set with how we're doing things, but ready to make the changes when issues come up. So openness, communication, and then preparedness would probably be the third. Making sure that our students have the education and the information they need to go out in the world. Making sure, I know there's set curriculum when it comes to what we're teaching people, but through extracurricular activities, through peer mentoring, through career exploration, we can help these kids build a foundation that will prepare them for if they're going into trades, if they're going to a four-year university, if they're going to a community college. We have so many opportunities, so many scholarships, so many careers that students can go into, but they may not think of that right away, and then they may be like, oh, I didn't take my education too seriously, and now I'm not prepared to go into one of those. So it's best to examine more so what these students want to do and say, okay, here's the resources you need. When I was in middle school, we had a career day. Great, but most people change what they want to do between middle school and high school, but we didn't have career day in high school. We had, for those that really were determined and really set themselves, or really wanted to push themselves, they could do dual enrollment or they could go to VOTAC, but not everybody realizes the opportunities that they have. So it's making sure they understand what they have available and how that's going to prepare them. Don't just offer it, be like, here's the doors this is going to open. There's opportunities I missed that I wish I could do, but the face value wasn't, I didn't know what they were. I wasn't sure, should I be doing this? And I look back and I'm like, maybe I should have reevaluated that. So I want to make sure that our students know what's out there and how they can achieve that, and then help them tailor their course load to accomplish that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I've got the next question, Nick. What do you see as the role and the responsibilities of a school board member? Excuse me.
So besides just being the people that are making these decisions that come up, whether it's from the state or when it comes to how we're educating our kids, it's really being a conduit for communication between the community and the decisions we make. We can, again, I said this earlier, is we can make these decisions how we believe they would be best, but unless we are being open to feedback and communicating things and making sure everything's on the table. Nothing should be behind curtains or smoke and mirrors. And if there's an issue, we want to make sure that the board is open to addressing that. I really believe people that are, as a board member, we should be willing to take emails, phone calls, whatever it takes to understand the question or the issue bring it to the rest of the board and get down to a solution. And the board itself may not be able to reach that by themselves. So we need to be open to reaching out to those that understand the topic that we're looking at. For example, for the COVID e-learning, we had to look at the resources we have available, what paths are other places taking, and what are the experts saying would be best to make sure that everybody's learning at the correct pace, they're not going to be set behind, and that it's beneficial, because at the end of the day, we want to make sure that the students are succeeding, and when they leave here, that they are prepared. So it's not just the board that's in this. Everybody needs to be involved in this. It's a community effort, and that's the trustee is the person that needs to be getting that information, disseminating it, and making sure everybody's on the same page and working towards that solution.
Thank you.
All right, I'm next. After review and discussion on significant issues, the board operates by majority vote. When the majority vote is different from your position, how would you handle the situation?
This happens all the time, whether it's at work or previous boards I've served on. And at the end of the day, the board needs to be unified. We may disagree on things, and we have our time to say why we disagree with things. But at the end of the day, like you said, it's a majority vote, and we need to stay unified. And if people come to us with questions after that, oh, why did you do it that way? We can't say, well, I was the lone voice against that. We have our time to say that, and we should bring all our cards to the table, say, here is why I disagree with it. Back up your position. But at the end of the day, we're all from different backgrounds, we have different educations, different careers, so we're making the decision with the information we have. So as long as we're presenting that and using that to make our judgment, if the majority feels that way, then that's the unified front that the entire board needs to be on. It may not be the popular choice, but there's obviously a reason that was the decision.
Thank you.
Nick, what is your understanding of a board member's role regarding the superintendent's responsibilities?
Can you say that one more time?
What is your understanding of a board member's role regarding the superintendent's responsibilities?
It's limited, but it's the superintendent's more like the community face, the person that is representing the school, the district, and listening to those issues as they come in. Because the board is multiple people, there's one person that the community can go to, but at the end of the day, they are going to work side by side to make sure that whatever issues were brought up to the superintendent are discussed by the board, and that, again, the issues and all the information associated with what was brought to the superintendent can be dealt with. So it should be viewed as more of a one entity instead of the superintendent and the board. I understand it is separate, but at the end of the day, we got to work towards whatever the goal is, and through that, just make sure we make the best decisions with that.
Thank you.
Talk fast.
Nick, like many other organizations, our district runs on a chain of command where the board president speaks for the board when necessary. Would you as a board member feel comfortable in this situation?
Yes, again, just like the majority votes, the president is the voice of the board, and we all have to be in a unified front, and as issues come up, we need to discuss them, have all the information, and then we would expect the president to communicate that properly. And again, we're not going to go behind the president's back and be like, well, I didn't agree with that. I'd be like, what are your concerns? If something didn't go the way you didn't like, let's bring it back and reevaluate it if need be. Nothing's set in stone. We can always reevaluate things as new information comes in. Make sure that we're doing things in the best interest of the students, faculty, the rest of the board, and the community. And there's always, things change, everything's fluid. So if different information comes in, well, we didn't see it like that, then that's something else we could bring up to the president or the rest of the board to make sure that we are on the same page and that the right decisions are being made. So,
very quickly.
Yep.
This concludes the interview. What else would you like us to know about your candidacy?
Not much, just excited to be back in the community after being away for the past few years. Really want to be able to help our district through this time. It's something I know none of us have ever dealt with before. I'd really like to help tackle the challenges we have head on as the board and as the community, and I would like to be part of that.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nick.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, very strange.
Ladies and gentlemen, board,
Hi.
Hello. So am I first now?
No, I think it's,
Yes.
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm gonna try it
Right
without.
to the end.
I skipped two.
Yeah, I know you did. So I just gotta start at the top of the page again, right? Yeah. Okay. All right.
that was a good decision. That would have happened anyway.
Yeah. Okay, hello there.
Hello.
Hi there.
How's everybody?
Wonderful.
Wonderful.
Oops, sorry. Okay, I've got the first question, Jody. What qualities, skills, and experiences would you bring that would be a contribution to the district, and are you willing to pursue additional skills through local and state training opportunities?
My background is education. From a young age, I lived with a teacher, coach, administrator, starting with my dad, then my husband, and I spent 40 years in education as a school library media specialist and director of media services, mostly at Coloma Community Schools. So I was in and out of all grades, all buildings, knew a lot of the teachers and curriculum. I sat in on administrative meetings. I'm a researcher by heart. I have my notes with me. I'm always looking for answers to things. That's what a librarian does. And I'm always willing to learn new things. And the other day I was on the MASB website. Some great things for school boards on there. And so I'm always looking for ways to improve and to learn.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Jody. I'm going
Hi, Ron.
to drop this mask down.
That'd be great, because I have hearing aids, so if you could just speak really loud, it would help.
Okay, same here.
Okay,
Right here.
good. There's something about a mask and hearing aids, you guys. I didn't realize how important it is to see a person's mouth. So
Oh,
we're going to
okay.
do as best we can. I've
I'll
pumped
take
them
this
up,
off
but,
when I read.
okay. Ron?
Jody, in your vision for education in this community, what are the most important skills students need when they graduate, and what are the top 3 things you believe Dowagiac Union Schools needs to work on?
Oh, man. I think they need to be lifelong learners. They need to be willing to continue their learning, not end it as an 18-year-old. I think they need to learn patience with other people, especially right now. Just have empathy, if nothing else. Besides their schooling, I think they have to have character and empathy and good thinking skills to solve problems. So, and what was the second part?
The second part is
what we could work on?
the top 3 things we need to work on.
Well, I haven't really looked at that. I went through the annual report today to look at test scores and all that, so I'm really not up on where we are with testing and curriculum, and I also looked at population, if our numbers are going up and down. So I think one thing we need to work on is PR, get young families moving into southwestern Michigan to look at Dowagiac schools. I think it would help our website if we could get to the test scores and the class sizes quicker than 75 pages of an annual report. But I would have to study up on the curriculum needs, and of course communication is always important. PR and working together as a team, starting with the 7 people sitting here and the administration, and having the right people in the right place to do the best job they can. So,
Thank you.
I'm next.
hi.
What do you see as the role and responsibilities of a school board member?
Well, first of all, they represent the whole community, not just one faction or one issue. They need to be good listeners, whether people talk to them at the grocery store or at church or call them on the phone. I think you need teamwork, and you need to be ethical and professional. You always need to be good stewards of Dowagiac Union Schools and the public. And of course, you need to make good, thoughtful decisions as things are presented to you. So,
Thank you.
After review and discussion on significant issues, the board operates by a majority vote. When the majority vote is different from your position, how would you handle the situation?
I'm pretty non-confrontational. It's a team, and not everybody thinks the same way. So you win some and lose some. The majority is what you end up doing, and you all need to get behind it and show a united front. And not, you can go home and talk to your spouse maybe, but you don't complain in public or tell anyone you're disappointed in something. But it's all about teamwork, starting here and then going there and then going out to the buildings. And that's the only way your school's going to be successful, and you'll get young families and stuff to move here. And I love Dowagiac. We have had opportunities to move, and we chose to raise our boys here. It's a great downtown, and it's been a great school system over the years. And I would like to see it continue that way.
Thank you.
Hi, Jody.
Hi, I want to congratulate you on your award, and I
Oh.
brought you an extra piece of
Oh, thank
paper
you.
for you. That was a very nice,
Thank you. Appreciate that. What is your understanding of a board member's role regarding the superintendent's responsibility?
well, the board is in charge of policy and hiring and evaluating the superintendent. That's two of your main responsibilities. But when you hire someone, you owe them the opportunity to set goals and objectives working together with the board, and then you evaluate them accordingly. And if you don't have the right person in the top job, you're going to have a hard time having the right people in all the other jobs that are so important to move your school district forward. So,
Next.
Like
many other organizations, our district runs on a chain of command where the board president speaks for the board when necessary. Would you, as a board member, feel comfortable in this situation?
yes. I've always thought about if a parent calls a school board member with a problem, and so it's our job to inform the parents and whatever that there is a chain of command, and they have to start with their principal and then to Mr. Wan, and then the school board is the last group that would make a decision, but the chain of command is very important in order to function, efficiently, so.
Thanks.
Okay. As a board member, you'll be asked to make decisions where you must put aside what's best for you, your family, and your friends to do what is best for the students and the district. What does this mean to you?
That's no problem. I guess because I'm old and getting spicy in my later years, but I see the big picture, what's best for the total, and that's what has to come first, so.
Thank you.
Jody, describe your response if a parent or concerned citizen cornered you in the grocery store and asked for your support on a particularly hot issue.
I think you would just have to listen and determine where the next step is. You can't really commit to anything in the grocery store or even on the phone when they call. You can maybe sympathize a little bit, but you need to figure out where that complaint needs to go to, and as a school board member, it would go to Mr. Wan to handle, and make sure that he or whoever takes it gets back to that person in a timely manner. You can't leave them hanging, because the quality of what we do here is in jeopardy then, if one person doesn't get a response back from us quickly.
Thank you.
And that happens, when you're known in the community, so. Ron, we all know. So.
All right. And this concludes the interview. What else would you like us to know about your candidacy?
I threw my hat in the ring because I never imagined there'd be 12 people. So,
We didn't either.
I know. So either this is a really great place and everybody wants to come help us do the happy dance, or there's things that they're concerned about and they want you to know it. So you're going to have to pick through that and see what happens. But I'm at a point in my life where I kind of finished up some nonprofit projects, and I have some time on my calendar to devote to the school board for the next 2 years. And if it fits, it fits, and if not, I'm good with going down to my sewing room. So I just appreciate the chance to talk to you. So
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Julie.
fires.
Ladies and gentlemen of the board,
Hi.
Kathleen McKee.
Hello.
Hi, Kathleen. I'll get started with the first question. What qualities, skills, and experiences would you bring that would be a contribution to the district? And are you willing to pursue additional skills through local and state training opportunities?
May I remove
Yes.
my mask?
Yes.
On one side, thank you. It was getting very warm. My background is in families and children. I did teach for 3 semesters at Southwestern Michigan College as a adjunct in developmental studies. So but my education and my background is in the area of social work, families, children, providing social services, management, supervision, and I think I was encouraged by friends to put my name in the hat for this opportunity. I have strong feelings about the education system, and having come from the position of working with children and families that are in trouble often, I think that I have some things to add that could be really helpful.
Thank you.
Excuse me, I have the second question. In your vision for education in this community, what are the most important skills students need when they graduate? And what are the top 3 things you believe Dowagiac Union Schools needs to work on?
Big question.
It's a big question.
All the other people have said the same thing. At least you all agree.
Yeah. As a social worker, social scientist, I think that the most significant thing that a graduate from high school, college, completing a series of courses towards an end needs is critical thinking skills. I think that we need to help young people think about the consequences of their actions, their behaviors, and that the choices that they make are going towards what goals they have in mind, and understand when they are making choices that aren't directing them towards what those goals are. And that's not to say that any child, especially an adolescent, isn't going to vary from those goals, but I think if you can keep in mind as a child, as an adolescent, that you in fact have a future, and you're going to hope that you have an opportunity to do something with that future, that you really need to begin thinking not out of emotion, not out of drive, not out of a desire to go do this or that, but that you actually have to weigh it in your own mind about what purpose it has for you. I worked for the tribe for 14 years in the social work department, and one of the takeaways from my tribal employment that I thought was really interesting from an anthropological kind of standpoint was that when you see your family as your ancestors walking behind you, that what you do, you know you're doing for those people, that you are a part of a stream of energy, and that you don't want to, or you should not do things that would embarrass your elders. And so that whole system of being a part of a family, I thought was really effective. We had youngsters who were in detention programs, and one of the things that we did was actually do life books and had their relatives collect pictures And so when there was this process of putting those individuals, their ancestors in line with themselves and what part looked like them and how some of their behaviors were the same, it was surprising how much that affected a child who was really out of control, and began to make them more centered. In terms of what the Dowagiac school system has to offer, I have very strong feelings about public education. I have said over the years that, as far as I'm concerned, public education is the keystone to this country's democracy. And without public education, I think we will be an entirely different kind of nation. I'm not pleased with the current method of allowing children and their parents, not so much children, parents picking schools of choice and pulling their child's money out of the public school system in a fashion that leaves other children without enough assets for the school to actually provide the kind of education that they would want to provide. So I'm very big on public education. I'm very big on making public education the very best it can be. I went to a school that was really in the forefront of high school and grade school education. Michigan City High School at that time, Michigan City school system was amazing. There was a man by the name of Fred Weber who had convinced the city that we had to join his Everybody Takes Music, and every student in all the grades in both high school and elementary school, we all had music. We all took music, and the idea was because it helped the brain balance itself. So the right and left brains were both active with each other. And it was, I think that public school teaches all children that we're all the same, that we have more in common than we have different, that we all have our own goals, that we all come from different areas, but that we find and we learn what we have in common. And so most of what I would be working towards would be encouraging the growth of the public school system and its ability to offer a varied education every bit as much in value as any of the charter schools.
Thank you. What do you see as the role and responsibilities of a school board member?
I believe in process. In my management style, I was not someone who was from the top down, and I'm very glad I had managers who encouraged group development. So I think what works best is if people they talk, they understand that there are going to be differences in points of views and methodologies, but that you consider all of them, and you consider because every system has an unintended consequence. And so you have to look and say, well, can I live with that unintended consequence? And so the board, I think, should be a free-flowing exchange of information, data research, have some indices of where you think children should be in certain areas, and check those regularly and see what the success rate is. And not so much to penalize a teacher or a department, but to try to discover ways of teaching or methodologies that would be effective for those children.
Okay. After review and discussion on significant issues, the board operates by a majority vote. When the majority vote is different from your position, how would you handle the situation?
I think you've got to leave your ego out in the car when you come to work, or when you go into. I spend a lot of time in courtrooms, and the judge would frequently indicate that my workers' plan for that family for reunification was short on this or that, and yes, Your Honor, yes, Your Honor. You find out what it is about the decision that was made that you are happy with, and you begin a process of accepting it and continuing to hurrah, your own ideas in your own way, but you don't pick up your marbles and leave. You have to work it out. I think that you can be effective in any team, whether you totally agree with what the group decision is.
Good, thank you so much.
My turn, Kathleen. What is your understanding of a board member's role regarding the superintendent's responsibilities?
I would have to say, first of all, that I'm not familiar with the rules of the board's the chart of power and who hires who and whatever, but I'm going to make an assumption that the board makes a decision regarding the hiring of a superintendent. And in that process, I would think that you would have already negotiated an agreement which included what you anticipated was going to be achieved. And that you would visit that with frequency, monthly or quarterly, and that you would talk about why it was deficient and what recommendations they had, the superintendent, to get that into line to where you wanted it. And then make recommendations as to perhaps some methods that the board might think should be considered. I would think that it would be my own propensity to be more useful and helpful as a board than it would be to be penalizing. There's a point at which, of course, you'd have to take negative action if you weren't seeing any change in the results that you were measuring. But it would be, I tend to be more of a collegial person than one who I carrot more than I stick. And so that would be my approach to it.
Thank you.
All right, I have one. Like many other organizations, our district runs on a chain of command, where the board president speaks for the board when necessary. Would you, as a board member, not the president, feel comfortable in this situation?
Oh, absolutely. 40 years working for the state of Michigan, I certainly learned that what your rank is what it is, and you're not the one who responds to certain kinds of issues, even if you're the person who has the most information. But I think that that it goes without standing that what happens in a board meeting happens in a board meeting, and it doesn't get discussed outside of the board meeting. It doesn't get discussed with a news reporter or your friends at the local pub if one is accustomed to doing something like that. Yes, there's a hierarchical, it has to be there, and I would truly respect that the president of the board would be the person who made those choices.
Thank you.
As a board member, you'll be asked to make decisions where you must put aside what's best for you, your family, and your friends to do what's best for the students and the district. What does this mean to you?
I'm not from Dowagiac. I've lived here for longer than I ever anticipated I would, probably 35, 38 years. I don't have any family that lives in Dowagiac. I have lots of friends. I have been involved in a lot of activities, groups. At the present time, I volunteer that I'm very active in the Democratic Party, and I'm not running for office. I don't anticipate that I ever will run for office, but I'm certainly one of those people in the background making the Democratic Party be effective in this area. But never would I consider that the information that I know from one place would affect another place. I mean, that's just not, I would totally adhere to the guidelines and the rules. And I would have no problem with it because I've spent most of my life doing it.
Thank you.
Kathleen, describe your response if a parent or concerned citizen cornered you in the grocery store and asked for your support on a particularly hot issue.
Well, I would try to identify in my mind who it is. I might ask, who have you talked to? Who are you talking to? What have you tried already? What efforts? What has not worked for you? What's happening? What's the worst thing? We were training. I trained my staff to do this for about 10 years, and the state of Michigan gave up on it. But one of the questions that we were supposed to have our staff ask was, okay, if you could make the world perfect for yourself tomorrow, and you didn't have any issues whatsoever, what would that look like? And it was not terribly effective because people who, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, if you're not getting your basic needs met and somebody asks you what would the perfect world look like, you can't go there because your needs aren't being met. I would not be giving, even if I thought I had a good idea for them, unless you are the person who is in their house watching the functioning of the family unit, watching where the power base is and who's influencing what and what the responses are, you really don't know if somebody would benefit from counseling or if the child going into another education kind of situation would be helpful. You really need to have a professional assess that within the situation.
This concludes the interview. What else would you like us to know about your board candidacy?
I would very much like the opportunity to be a part of the board. I have, like I said, very strong feelings about education and the role of education, and I don't think we're going in the right direction. Some of that is it's financial, but I think that we, as a country, need to realize that the future is tied up in our children and how we're going to get them prepared for life. I've had the opportunity to. I was on the Private Industry Council as vice chair for 6 years, and during that period of time, I went to a number of seminars and heard a number of people speak, including Robert Reich, Hillary Clinton. They had been working on a program where they were trying. The theory was if you could identify in 10 years from now what jobs were going to be available, what professions were needed, then kids should be trained within the school system for what you could project the needs would be. And it wasn't effective. But I think things are worth the effort, even if they're not going to be successful. But I think there have to be methodologies used in which you can help children and their families decide how to invest in that child's education. There's absolutely nothing wrong with children going into a technical or a craft, art, any of those kinds of things. And that was also part of the plan that Robert Reich had, is that at about, I think there was a point in time when we were talking about, at a freshman year, you began to work on identifying what was called 4+2, and you had 4 years in which you were going to learn your basic skills towards the furthering of your education. And SMC is a wonderful opportunity for students here to learn skills training. And so that's but at the same time, I don't think we just should discourage any child from desiring a college education. And I had the opportunity to go to college because the President of the United States, who was an Army general, came back from the Army and said, education is the most essential things to defend our nation. And so he created the National Student Defense Loan, along with our interstate highway system. So he gets social services things by saying that these things could, without effective services in those areas, our defense was worthless. We couldn't defend our nation. So I think there are ways to get money to do the things that we need to do.
Thank you very
Wait,
much.
I have a question, Kathleen. The first thing you said was, I don't think we are going in the right direction. Can you clarify, meaning Dowagiac or public education as a whole?
Public education as a whole.
Okay.
National.
Okay. That was it.
Betsy
Thank
DeVos.
you. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Okay. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate your time.
Ladies and gentlemen of the board,
Hello? Yes, here we go.
And may I have a few moments to say something?
I'm sorry?
Sure.
May I have a few moments to say something, please?
Like an introduction or something?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. My name is Justin Doyle, and I would like to thank for the opportunity to interview tonight. It's truly an honor to be considered for this position. My wife and I would also like to thank Dowagiac Union Schools and the community for all their support to our family has received for our youngest son, Lucas. It has not been an easy adjustment since the lawnmower accident nearly 4 years ago, but the continual support from the administration, teachers, support staff, and the community has helped Lucas attend school full-time and normalize his life as much as possible. And we thank you from the bottom of our heart.
Thank you. First question. What qualities, skills, and experiences would you bring that would be a contribution to the district? And are you willing to pursue additional skills through local and state training opportunities?
So your first question is what skills I bring. I feel that I bring very good negotiation skills. I'm a salesman by trade, and a lot of negotiation, give and take with customers and whatnot. That's one of my strongest skills is negotiation in that sense. And I understand that, you know, some people want this. We have to find a common ground, a common goal to get that common goal, and the common. And yes, I would be very much willing to gain more skills as needed.
Okay.
Thanks.
In your vision for education in this community, what are the most important skills students need when they graduate? And what are the top 3 things you believe Dowagiac Union Schools needs to work on?
In my opinion, that the most important thing that I think kids need is more focus on the trades. With my position of my job, I see a lot of open positions in trades that go unfilled, being CNC, welders, auto body. Really isn't a good focus on that, and it's on us as parents as well, you know, kind of tell our children that these jobs are available. And the second part of your question again was?
It was, and what are the top 3 things you believe Dowagiac Union Schools would need to work on?
Probably trade skills, life skills, and what third one? You know, more of life preparation, you know, and on the third one, and for the ones that are going off to college, you know, kind of more of funneling them, getting them prepared for college.
Wonderful, thank you.
Okay, my turn. Justin, what do you see as the role and responsibilities of a school board member?
The role and responsibility for a school board member, I believe, would be the person that is willing to listen to the community, take all gainful insight from them, and make a very calculated and well-informed decision.
Thank you.
Just a minute. Okay. After review and discussion on significant issues, the board operates by a majority vote. When the majority vote is different from your position, how would you handle this situation?
I would handle it professionally. Going back to my job, you're never going to get everything that you want. So in a situation, parliamentary procedure, that's the rule of the law. I mean, you're going to have to adjust accordingly.
Okay. Thank you.
Justin, what is your understanding of a board member's role regarding the superintendent's responsibilities?
That's a great question. I don't have a good answer for that. But the superintendent's, you could repeat that again, I'm sorry.
What is your understanding of a board member's role regarding the superintendent's responsibilities?
Probably more of what's the word I would be looking for? Kind of as a guide maybe to, you know, express your feelings as what you feel would work best for the community, and be not really a mentor, but just more giving your point of view that you've gained from other insight from other sources.
Thank you.
Justin, like many other organizations, our district runs on a chain of command where the board president speaks for the board when necessary. Would you, as a board member, feel comfortable in this situation?
Yes, I would.
Okay.
As a board member, you'll be asked to make decisions where you must put aside what's best for you, your family, and your friends to do what's best for the students in the district. What does that mean to you?
Well, we should all look for the common good. I mean, we're all trying to make our community and our schools better. So if we come to an agreement that is a common goal and everybody is pleased, I mean, we're here for everybody else, not just individuals like you said. So let's do what's best for everybody, not just an individual. This is how this country was formed. You know, we're trying to be better as a whole, not individuals.
Thank you.
Okay. Describe your response if a parent or concerned citizen cornered you in the grocery store and asked for your support on a particularly hot topic.
I would politely take their information, you know, accept what they have to say, and say, you know, I thank you for what you've presented to me. I will take an according action and taken in other sources as well. But I can't just take your point of view and say it's the correct way.
Thank you.
Okay, Justin, this wraps up the interview. Would you like us to know anything else about your board candidacy that you haven't already mentioned?
I feel there's nothing really more I can really say, but again, I thank you for the opportunity to interview, and good luck to everybody else out there. I mean,
Thank you for coming, and we appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm first up, right? I'm first up, right?
Let me see. That's right.
Yeah.
You're up.
Is it okay
You
if
can
I-
take it off if you like, yes.
Thank you.
Hi, Tracy.
Hello.
I'm going to start.
Oh, that's right?
Yeah.
Oh, no, did you, yeah, she is right, you are right, sorry.
Okay, I'm going to start. What qualities, skills, and experiences would you bring that would be a contribution to the district? And are you willing to pursue additional skills through local and state training opportunities?
I think I would bring a lot to the community because I'm known in the community. I've been dealing with different things in the community. I coached basketball here for years. I coached track for years. And just being involved and knowing people, I think I would be a great help in trying to cause things to move forward. And I'm a people person, so I love dealing with people anyway, and I love kids. My heart goes out to kids. So I think I could bring a lot to the table. I've been pastoring in this area for 4 years. So I could bring a lot of help to me, to the community. And I would like to see the community become unified. That would be something I would love to see, unification in the community. So that's something that I could bring to the table. And yes, I would be interested in being educated more. It's always good to learn. So I would be open to that.
Okay, thank you.
In your vision for education in this community, what are the most important skills students need when they graduate, and what are the top 3 things you believe Dowagiac Union Schools need to work on?
Okay, I think kids need to have good communication skills. And one of the things I think
Excuse me, could you move that microphone closer to you? I'm a little hard to hear.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay,
you're
I
good
said
now.
communication, I think.
Thank you.
Being able to communicate is very important. And I think we could work better with knowing that, because sometimes we see kids and we think all kids are the same. I think we should be more open to it's not one size fits all, and you can deal with young people better that way. And also, I think we should be more open to hear what they're saying, because if we listen to what they're saying, they'll really tell us what's going on with them. And sometimes we don't want to listen. That don't mean we're going to do everything they say, but it's good to be open to hear what they have to say when it comes to dealing with things in the school. And I think that what I believe. So, one more thing. We need to support, be more supportive of all of our athletics, and all the kids that are involved in athletes, all the athletes that are involved in any kind of sport that they're playing. I found out in coaching that sometimes we overlook the one who may end up being the one who's really going to be outstanding, because they're not as good as we think they are when we first see them. And if they have potential, I think we need to try to get them to reach their full potential. And sometimes we give up on them, and that doesn't help. So I think we need to really be involved and try to encourage them to go for reach for the sky.
Thank you.
What do you see as the role and responsibilities of a school board member?
One of the roles, I think, is to be active in our community, help keep things in line when it comes to the things that pertain to the school, be open, and because sometimes we can be blind in areas, and sometimes we'd have to find ourselves to be a little bit more open-minded, so we can, because sometimes we can be so closed-minded we can't learn anything. So if we be more open-minded on the school board, maybe because I didn't come up with it don't mean it's not a good idea. So I think we need to be really open-minded about things, especially when we're on the same team.
After review and discussion on significant issues, the board operates by a majority vote. When the majority vote is different from your position, how would you handle the situation?
Oh, I would go with the majority. I'm real easy to get along with, and I know that I can't always get my way. I learned that in life. I would be willing to go with the board. And sometime I've learned from life experience, sometime because everybody else is going along, maybe it's something I didn't see, and maybe if I can learn to just get on board, maybe my eyes can be open and I can agree with it instead of fighting against it.
Thanks.
Okay. What is your understanding of a board member's role regarding the superintendent's responsibilities?
My understanding is that we are to help him the best, or her, whoever it is, the best that we can, and try to support them. And one thing I don't believe in is trying to fight against leadership amongst people that we shouldn't see us fighting or having disagreements. I think it's to undergird the superintendent the best that we can to the best of our ability.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Tracy,
Yes, sir.
like many other organizations, our district runs on a chain of command. where the board president speaks for the board when necessary. Would you as a board member, you're not the board president, would you as a board member feel comfortable in this situation?
And him speaking for the rest, or the
Yeah,
person speaking for the rest of the board?
Only he or she speaks for the whole board.
For the whole board. That's before the board has had a chance to talk, or after the board has had a chance to talk?
Okay, thank you.
I mean, I don't want nobody speaking on my behalf, and I ain't in agreement with what's going on, or blind to what's going on, so I would like to know something before they speak for
Yeah,
me.
okay.
All right. As a board member, you'll be asked to make decisions where you must put aside what's best for you, your family, and your friends to do what's best for the students and the district. What does this mean to you?
What does that mean to me? It means to me that I'm looking out for the welfare of other people besides just myself. And that's just the type of person that I am anyway. So that's no problem with me.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Hatcher, describe your response if a parent or a concerned citizen cornered you in the grocery store and asked you for your support on a particular hot issue.
I would be straightforward and I would listen to them, but I would definitely tell them that I couldn't give my opinion because if I was just a board member, it's not up to me to make those decisions. But I would be open to listen to what they have to say.
All right, I have the last question. So this concludes the interview. What else would you like us to know about your board candidacy?
Well, I think I would bring a great help to the board. Like I said, I'm well known in this community. I deal with young people all the time, and I'm a people person. I'm easy to get along with. I found out that sometimes it's best to just sit back and listen and observe. And I learn a lot more by just being observant. And my plan for running for this board, I don't have no hidden agenda. I don't have any kids in the school, but I love kids, period. I can get along with them. And I would really like to see this community grow as a whole. I really would like to see that.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I did.
My turn then?
Well, I did the last question.
Did
You
you?
did?
Yep.
Okay, that's
It's
right,
your
you
turn.
did.
Cash for Larry.
Okay. Hi, Kim.
Hi.
I don't recognize you without the green shirt.
Sorry, I left it at home tonight. It's polka dot night.
Start calling her polka dot now, huh?
I was totally verklempt.
Next time I'll wear green just for you.
All right. That doesn't seem right to me. You sure you guys aren't all wrong and I'm right?
No, I still asked
Yeah, he
question.
did, I now that I remember that.
So, number one, what qualities, skills, and experiences would you bring that would be a contribution to the district? And are you willing to pursue additional skills through local and state training opportunities?
I'm always willing to learn, yes. I was born and raised here in Dowagiac, graduated in 1994. I have roots here with my family. I moved back here from Georgia 22 years ago with my husband, who's in the Army, to raise my family here. I worked for Indiana State Police as a assistant director for a law camp where I dealt with kids that had differences, and we taught them every day about police enforcement and what we did behind the scenes. I worked on the college campus for Notre Dame Security Police, where I dealt with parents, students, football Saturdays. I'm not scared of people. I love to talk. And I'll bring those with me if I'm chosen.
Thank you. Okay. In your vision for education in this community, what are the most important skills students need when they graduate, and what are the top 3 things you believe Dowagiac Union Schools needs to work on?
Communication is one of them. I feel that's a big part of with the teachers and students and parents. A lot of it gets left behind or not done. I've had one child that had special needs, and some of the times it got forgotten she had that, and they didn't enact on the program for her, and I felt that was not done correctly.
My turn?
Your turn.
Okay. Kim, what do you see as the role and responsibilities of a school board member?
We are the face of the community. They see us when we're out on the streets, the grocery store, movie theaters.
Especially grocery
Especially grocery store. But they see our faces, and that's more important to me that, they have a question, come to me, and I'll do my best to answer it for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Kim, hi. After review and discussion on significant issues, the board operates by a majority vote. When the majority vote is different from your position, how would you handle that situation?
I wear many hats, and as all of you do it there on the board. And if you think inside the box or outside the box, that's just how it does for me.
Kim,
Yes,
what
ma'am.
is your understanding of a board member's role regarding the superintendent's responsibilities?
We are his right-hand man. We have to make decisions, and he has to accept them or deny them. He makes choices just like we all do.
Thank you.
Kim,
Yes.
excuse me, like many other organizations, our district runs on a chain of command where the board president speaks for the board when necessary. Would you, as a board member, feel comfortable in this situation?
Yes.
As a board member, you'll be asked to make decisions where you must put aside what's best for you, your family, and your friends to do what's best for the students in the district. What does this mean to you?
So this isn't going to stand. I have to stand with my board members.
Okay, Kim. Describe your response if a parent or concerned citizen corners you in the grocery store, this is really made for you, and asks for your support on a particularly hot issue.
I would tell them I could not at that time because I'm part of the board, and I could take any questions or comments to the board to see what they would say about it.
Thank you.
It's my turn again, right?
Yes.
Okay. Kim, this concludes the formal interview. What else would you like us to know about your board candidacy that hasn't already been mentioned?
I have 4 children. I'm married to my husband 22 years. I live outside the city limits. Raised here, That's pretty much all I have for you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Who was your driver ed instructor?
You?
Oh, I'm sorry.
The 1 year I failed.
Oh, there's something wrong.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't go.
Ladies and gentlemen of the board, John Phillips.
Welcome.
Hello.
Hi there.
Where did we, I forgot. Oh, Ron left off.
Thank you.
No, he left off. Maybe not. Did you do the last question?
Yeah.
Carrie's got number one.
Oh, I'm sorry. I am paying attention. Okay. Hi, Jonathan.
How you doing?
Good. All right. What qualities, skills, and experiences would you bring that would be a contribution to the district? And are you willing to pursue additional skills through local and state training opportunities?
Okay. Skills, I work in education myself. I'm a paraprofessional at Lewis Cass ISD, so we deal with all the local districts. I work dealing with the multiply physically handicapped children of our district primarily. We've lived in the district for 18 years now. I have 5 children, 2 of which have gone through from elementary school all the way through graduating. See, I have 3 still in. One's a freshman, one's a sophomore, and one's still in junior high. So we are invested in and participate in the community. Yes, to answer the last part of the question, I am willing to pursue further education, training, whatever's necessary. So yes.
Okay, thank you.
Jonathan, in your vision for education in this community, what are the most important skills students need when they graduate? And what are the top 3 things you believe Dowagiac Union Schools need to work on?
Okay. Well, in this, excuse me, these masks are crazy. Computer and the sciences of that sort is a major in our society. So they have to have the skills that will allow them to compete. to excel. They need social skills and, the solid basics, a good grounding in the basics to the math, the sciences. And I have to admit, I forgot the second part of your question, please.
Your skills and experiences that you would contribute, and then you, I believe you answered the second part, which was additional skills through, three things you believe Dowagiac Union Schools needs to work on.
Okay. Well, dealing with the skills that I bring, again, I am, in education, grounded myself. I've got a degree in CAD, so I'm very detail-oriented. So,
thank you.
John, what do you see as the role and responsibilities of a school board member?
The school board. To work as a team with the superintendent for the community and the students. The school board and the superintendent are kind of the shapers of society. The students, they go through the school, they get the education, they become members of society. What we are, or the board and the superintendent does, is highly influential in that. The base that they start off with really, really determines where they end up. So working together as a cooperative team, with the superintendent being basically the representative of the teachers, and the board being the representative of the community, working hand in hand and getting that support system in place to allow children to become educated and reach their full potential.
Next, after review and discussion on significant issues, the board operates by a majority vote. When the majority vote is different from your position, how would you handle the situation?
Well, the rule is majority vote, so that would be the deciding factor. I would probably continue to investigate why I stood on a certain position and why others stood on another position, and work hard at understanding the full issue. I'm not one to make quick judgments. I'm very detail oriented, and I like to have all the facts. And if I am wrong or I do not have the full story, I like to know that. So I would like to become educated then as to why I was not on why there's a difference in opinion. I want to know the full story, the full and complete picture. Just because the decision is made does not mean that I have to stop becoming educated as to that subject matter.
Thank you.
Okay, what is your understanding of a board member's role regarding the superintendent's responsibilities?
Okay, I believe I covered that a little bit in Mr. Groth's question, but working as a team, we're kind of an advisory and a guiding, the board, is a guiding kind of arrow, compass for where the society is asking for the schools to go.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Jonathan, like many other organizations, our district runs on a chain of command, where the board president speaks for the board when necessary. Assuming you're not the board president, would you as a board member feel comfortable in this situation?
Definitely.
Thank you.
May I elaborate on that just a sec?
Well, sure, if you
Sorry.
want to expand on it.
I'm a veteran, and following orders is to, pardon the pun, drilled into you. So the chain of command is something I respect. It's something that I am comfortable with, and it's something that I see a lot of benefit for, because too many chiefs, sorry, we're the chiefs, but too many chiefs doesn't make a good situation. So.
Good, thank you.
All right, back to me. Or to me for the first. I don't know. All right. As a board member, you'll be asked to make decisions where you must put aside what's best for you, your family, and your friends to do what's best for the students and the district. What does this mean to you?
It means that as a board, they're part of something larger and more society focused than just one family, one person. Though I do strive for what is best for my family and what is best for myself, of course, I do understand that the community without which the individuals really aren't as secure. So the security and the focus of the group actually supports the individual family and person a lot better than just everyone trying to do their own thing.
Okay, thank you.
Jonathan, describe your response if a parent or concerned citizen cornered you in the grocery store and asked you for your support on a particular hot issue.
Well, first of all, I would make clear that I would prefer not to be kind of ambushed in the grocery store. That if they had a concern, that they bring it to me either in a letter or an email or something formalized. That way I can deal with it in a more formal and informed fashion. If I had, like I said earlier, I don't like to do things unplanned. I like to have all my facts, and in that situation, I would not have that. And so my response would be to put their information down on paper, get their thoughts coherent, and give me a chance to appropriately address their issue, not only with myself, but with others of the board, and to basically give it a fair shot, which I would not be able to do just in the grocery store.
Thank you.
All right, Jonathan, this includes the interview. What else would you like us to know about your board candidacy?
Well, I have a unique perspective on life. I've lived from poor to rich. I have a varied childhood, and as a veteran, I've moved. I've seen school districts in different places. I know a lot about life in different circumstances. So I think I would bring to the board the ability to be compassionate, yet intelligent, thoughtful, I see in the future that we are going to be dealing with as a society and as a school, financial issues, of which I have been treasurer of a church before. I am very fiscally responsible, but also realistic when it comes to the use of money, that it has to be utilized, but wasteful spending I am not at all for. I will continue to be a part of the community for a long period of time. I have 3 children still in the school system. I have 2 that graduated through the school system, so I have longevity. We are homeowners in the neighborhood. And I am definitely concerned for the educational prospects of my children and those others in this town, and want to see the best results possible. Whether it is going to be possible or not due to COVID and situations out of our control. But I do like to think that I can bring a fresh perspective.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to take the water with me.
Good.
Have a good night.
Thank you. You too.
He's done already? Oh, I was thinking, are you done already?
Oh, I couldn't copy off you.
Oh, man. I should have copied off you. I'm thinking. That is some of the hardest decisions.
Are we ranking them 1 through 4, or just put X's of the 4 that we like?
Okay, I just put the letters in the thing. I put the,
Can I borrow my pen?
yes, I'm so sorry.
Yes,
I don't,
I understand.
Just put an X in the
Yes.
4 boxes.
Oh, sorry, I went all mathematical engineering on this.
you can either put the number or the X. I put the, I mean, the letter or
should've
the
done that
X. I guess
first.
he wants an X.
Any designation is fine.
I'll put an X next to the highest ranking. How's that?
Did yours quit working?
No,
Oh,
but it drags. It's
Oh.
got a really fine.
okay.
Can I see mine real quick? I want to make sure I got the right ones.
Me too. Now she made me question it.
Geez, I hope I did mine right.
No, I'm good.
My God, this is so hard.
Actually, Ruth, the hardest part for me right now is not going to get some of that chip there.
I know. I am waiting.
Yeah,
I
me
was trying to
too.
wait.
Okay.
While you're doing your math,
Sorry.
Go for it.
Yep. Don't have to, I'm reading too many notes.
I'll tell you, this person, very interesting. But she's operating in a different level. But she is.
She's very interesting. You know what I
I
did?
would like to just sit and listen to her.
I wrote a ton of notes of her, some of the things that she said,
Yeah, she-
because I think the same way, but I never could verbalize that.
Yeah.
She's very good. Yeah. I hate to tell you, but she was one of my choices. So, I mean, she's just, yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. I don't know. I just had such a hard time, Larry. This is hard for me. I went way off the... We have all the same but one. Did I give up my...
I need to see their names.
Wait a minute. Did I give up... Where's my sheet with...
Are you ready? Okay. Candidate U. Candidate N. Candidate A. Candidate S. And candidate L.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, by the rules that you, and process you set up last week, with of those 5 candidates that have moved on, please identify 2. Please identify 2.
I'm sorry, I must have missed one. I've got 4 down.
I have a correction.
Mm-mm.
I just realized this. It was 2 if there were 4. You may identify 3.
Oh, wonderful.
You may identify 3.
We'll identify 3 candidates.
Okay, we have two names, Tracy Hatcher and Jody Crandall. Now we need a motion that we entertain discussion.
I, Terry Groth, make a motion that we entertain discussion on the final two candidates for the open board seat. The final two candidates being Ms. Jody Crandall and Mr. Tracy Hatcher.
A second.
So who wants to say what?
Any discussion?
I think they're both really good candidates, obviously.
They're both excellent.
I mean, Mrs. Crandall's been involved in education for a really long time and went to school with her youngest son, and both her children have turned out to be very well educated individuals. You know, and obviously her husband was involved with our school system for years, was the assistant superintendent behind Ron for a while, and then was the superintendent. He's done a lot for our district. And then Coach Hatcher, I mean, he's done a lot, you know, coaching. He's the face of the community in a lot of different things. So I don't really have a strong feeling one or another. I mean, I think they're both candidates, great candidates. And, you know, I was pleased when I saw that they had put their heads in the ring.
I think both are great candidates. I went to school and graduated with their oldest son. So I think both will definitely contribute. What I would like to say about, I call him Coach Hatcher. Coach Hatcher is that I have seen firsthand what he has done with our youth. I think he would greatly contribute to and give insight on some of the struggles that we, you know, have and may not see, especially with our male students. I know that he has shown interest before and looked into it with the previous superintendent, but was not able to proceed at that time because he was coaching for us. And then he has also pursued to get involved this time through the regular election. So I know that he has put in work, and again, you guys know I stand for you know, adding diversity to the board. I think he would be a great addition.
I would echo, I don't know either one of them. Obviously, I know who they both are, but I do not know either one of them. They both did great. I think they both would be assets to the board. I do think I like the perspective that Mr. Hatcher would bring. That being, I know it is definitely different than mine. And obviously they're both all about the kids. So, I mean, that's clear, you know. That I think my vote would lean towards, I know my vote would lean towards Mr. Hatcher, so.
They're both great candidates, so I can go either way, but Tracy is fine with me, yes.
Is it my turn?
It can be.
If you want it to be.
Can be. I don't know Tracy, just what I've heard, but I do know that Rhonda's a big supporter of him, and for good reason. I do know Jody, and Larry and I worked together for many years, and Jody's been active in the community. I thought gave a great interview, and she should, because she knows the ropes, I guess. Either one I think would be good for the board. I just want to mention this, but it may not mean anything to anyone. We like to keep a balance on the board between male and female if we can. Phyllis, female, there was 4 and 3 was the board members, and Phyllis is being replaced by one of these two people, and if you wanted to keep that balance, it would be Jody because it will be a man winning the election coming up, which would maintain that balance. Now, if that doesn't mean anything, it can go either way. But I think either candidate would be strong for the reasons that were already talked about.
I don't know Hatcher, but that doesn't mean anything. I know Jody well enough to say that I think if she were sitting at this table tonight, and listened to her own application, and then listen to his, she would suggest that we hire him. That's what I think.
That's interesting.
I think he's going to make a great board member. And I have to say, I'm overwhelmed by the quality of the candidates we got here tonight.
I agree.
I just suggested maybe we should borrow some of those people and put them out in the community. I mean, a lot of them can't get anything, but we've had that problem here before.
Yeah.
So, but having said that, I think it's pretty clear. So now we've got to have a motion.
Motion's been made, it's been seconded, you've had discussion. Mr. President, this should be a roll call vote. Vote by name.
Wait, what are we roll calling vote?
We should make a motion that we accept.
For one? No.
You should vote.
Yes.
Each board member should vote who
Okay.
you support.
Oh, thank you.
For supporting each board member should vote the name that they support.
Okay.
Mr. Hatcher.
Mr. Tracy Hatcher.
Tracy Hatcher.
Tracy Hatcher.
Mr. Hatcher.
Tracy Hatcher.
Gentlemen of the board, voted to appoint Tracy Hatcher to the open seat. Mr. President, if you were to adjourn the meeting, you could then call and let me know.
That would be a great idea.
I motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?